good. Very good.
Over 30 years ago, I was a designer for the surgical room of the future. I was part of a team of leading minds from Massachusetts General Hospital, Northrop Grumman, Harvard, and MIT. We were made up of mechanical engineers, robotic scientists, structural engineers, architects, and surgeons. I was one of the architects of the team. The project was to design a surgical room using virtual reality and robotics to be able to perform microsurgery in hospitals or in the battlefield. This was a life-changing experience and something I take with me to this day, bringing lessons from that experience. The first experience and lesson from that was the power of interdisciplinary teamwork and collaboration to solve problems, complex problems. That interdisciplinary team is what is so important. The second lesson was the value of reaching for the stars, having bold and audacious ideas. At the time we were designing the surgical room, we didn't have a stable internet. Virtual reality was just a new idea. So it was this moonshot, striving for something that seemed almost impossible. The third lesson was the importance and value of having designers on the team. The creatives that bring different ways of looking at things, a different perspective, asking questions in ways that maybe not every discipline would ask, and pushing the boundaries. And the last lesson, but not the least, was the value of doing projects not just for their own sake, but for being able to do something that has a measurable, positive outcome in people's lives, something that does something good for society. That's magical. When we think about the context that we're in today, it's very complex. We're in a social and technological revolution. We're living through this right now. It's hard to believe, but our human and biological intelligence is being surpassed by digital intelligence. Artificial intelligence, robotics, bots, Web 3.0 are imitating our human behavior with uncanny abilities. Our primary form of communication, social media, can probably be best described as a weapon of mass destruction of our very social fabric, tearing us apart and upending truth itself. Now, I don't want to get all depressed, but there's one other important factor here, and that is the existential crisis of global climate change and the destabilizing effect that it's having on our democracies around the world. So how educators can plan for, predict, and prepare a future education to future-proof the curriculum is very, very difficult. There is a growing skepticism about the 4-year foundational bachelor's degree. A recent study showed that over 40% of graduates 10 years into their careers are not even working in the spaces that they were educated in, where they got their degrees. We have a national crisis of student loan debt of $1.74 trillion. That's a T. So no wonder when parents and their children are applying to colleges, they're looking for certain kinds of assurances. They want to know that there's a return on investment on the tuition that they're paying. They want to know that the experience that they're going to get is going to prepare them for this unpredictable future so that they can not only just survive but thrive in the world. They want to have some likelihood of getting jobs in the near future through the educational institution that they are aligned with. The unfortunate thing is that our educational system, the way that we teach and learn, has not changed for over a century, not since the industrial age of the early 20th century. And it's characterized by certain things that just stand out. Students are trained in silos, with standardized content, committed to memory through facts and formulas. They are tested and measured on their ability to master those known facts, not necessarily questioning them, not asking and how things could be different. The idea of failing, the idea of not succeeding through trial and error is not encouraged. Failing often rather than to succeed sooner is not enculturated within the institutions. There is also a passive process of learning. Think about the classrooms that we've all sat in and our students still sit in today. Rectangular spaces, rows of seating, with instructors at the end, imparting knowledge, disseminating information in a very passive way with rote learning. Then there is another factor that it characterizes our education, and it's global. And that is that we have this philosophy that we can continue to plunder the earth's natural resources, that we can extract from the earth without considering replenishing those resources, even though we consume 2.5 times of what the earth can replenish and provide. And I'll give you one last characteristic, because we can go on, which is an absence of the designers and creatives in the curriculum and in departments in universities and colleges, unless it's a specifically designated college for design and art. So think about all the other disciplines. Somehow art doesn't find its way in there. It's not valued in the sense that it should be. One example of that is seeing how budgets are cut from elementary school through high school and university. Those are usually the art budgets. About a decade ago, the A for arts was added into the science, technology, engineering, math foundation, the STEM programs, to make STEAM. And it was introduced with much fanfare, with the notion that art would be an integral part of the foundational programs. But unfortunately, that has remained somewhat of an appendage rather than what should be really the common denominator. Art is still seen on the side and not directly a part of the STEM programs. And yet, design is all around us. The creative making of this world is everything that we touch, the space that we're in, the vehicles you drove in, the devices you wear. Every touch point is a product of design. At our college, we have a mantra. We say, we make art and design inseparable from planetary health. By this, we mean that there's a holistic approach to sustainability that is not just about being green, not just about the environment itself, but our human health, wellness, and well-being, the social equity and justice that goes together with the environment, that we're not here to dominate nature, but we're a harmonious part of nature. And so our students are taught that it's important that every decision that we make has repercussions. There are ethical choices that are to be made in every design decision. A student designing a garment or a product needs to think about where is the material sourced from, who makes that material, under what conditions, the supply chain, till it's sold, worn, and then disposed of, probably ending up in landfills or in our oceans. That consumptive model is something that is being challenged every day in our college. And this brings me to our students. This is a generation, Gen Z, and appropriately called the Alpha generation. A generation that is resilient. They see and are fearful and anxious about the future that generations before them have left them with. But they want to be actively involved in the changes. They want to be there to learn how to make the changes that we have now left for them. So the educational system should change, and they want it to be relevant to give them the tools and the skills and the equipment to be able to be problem solvers and help change the paradigms that we're facing. They also understand that their education is a continuum. It doesn't end once you graduate. It continues with innovation and industry outside of the college, and there should be this resonance, this reciprocity between the universities and the region around us where there's innovation and industry. That should be an almost ecosystem-like relationship, and the students know and want that. They don't appreciate silos. They see them as restrictive and artificial. So many years ago, when doing this remote surgical tool and project, I realized that the lessons that I learned then are a useful and maybe very valuable blueprint for how we think about teaching and learning and education today. If we could imagine an environment in which we break down the silos, provide cross-disciplinary partnerships and relationships, a platform for cross-pollination of ideas between disciplines, with a creative mindset at the underpinning the team, building on those ideas, with a sustainable mindset, embracing the technologies that we have today, responsibly using them to be able to accelerate and help problem solve and discover new ways of doing things. We have an opportunity to solve some of the most vexing challenges of our time, from reducing the carbon footprint in our cities, to protecting and preserving our beautiful ocean, to preventing cancer. This is an opportunity for us to change an anachronistic and antiquated system of teaching and learning and education. It's important that we do it now. This is a call to action. The future is now, and we need to be ready for it. Thank you.